When I spoke at this forum 2 years ago, I told you that we had launched the great American comeback. Today, I'm proud to declare that the United States is in the midst of an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen before. We've regained our stride, rediscovered our spirit, and reawakened the powerful machinery of American enterprise. America is thriving, America is flourishing, and yes, America is winning again like never before. But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. They are the heirs of yesterday's foolish fortune tellers, and I have them, and you have them, and we all have them. And they want to see us do badly, but we don't let that happen. They predicted an overpopulation crisis in the 1960s, mass starvation in the 70s, and an end of oil in the 1990s. These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives. We will never let radical socialists destroy our economy, wreck our country, or eradicate our liberty.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts, including posts that tell us exactly why the Democrats are pushing this impeachment coup hoax that they want to get through the Senate. Even though it's going to fail, this is their last-ditch effort to cover up for their own crimes. We're going to get into that. Plus, we're going to talk about a bunch of other breaking news stories, including more proofs of Q and other information that you guys are going to want to stick around and check out. Hi, my name is Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. You guys know the drill. I always say thank you if you've hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and then you have to check the box all to make sure you get all the notifications. And before we get right into the latest Q post, because there's a lot to cover, I just have to point this out. I try not to get into this too much anymore. At the beginning of the episodes, you guys already know that YouTube is doing everything they can to use their algorithmic discrimination against content creators who are basically countering the fake news narrative that they're trying to force onto you, the viewer, the general public, because they're trying to manipulate you, they're trying to deceive you, and they're trying to lie to you because they're trying to control you. Now, one way they're doing it to this channel, which is besides the algorithmic, push down and how, they suppress the numbers and they misreport how many views I get on a video. So like I'll have, 50,000 views and when you go look at my video publicly, it'll only say 30,000. You go, oh, well, what's a big deal? It's not that big a deal. It'll eventually catch up or whatever. Well, no, that's a part of the suppression method because they understand that people will see videos with more views as being more trustworthy. So what do? They use this secret algorithm that works secretly behind the scenes to actually manipulate the numbers so that on the back end, yes, I can see that my video has 50, 60, 70,000 views, but on the public end, you're only seeing 20, 30, 40,000 views. And why? Because like I said, it's a form of suppression. And now they're doing it once again. I try to put videos in the new playlist here. They know that this playlist, latest new posts, is directly related to the Q boards and related to when Q drops, I post new videos in this playlist, right? Well, what do? They keep the videos out of the playlist. This video right here is supposed to be in this playlist. I've put it in there. I've marked it for it. But here we are over a day later, and still it hasn't posted to this. And I had another example that I showed you guys before where it took them a whole week to get 5 of my videos that were supposed to be in here into this playlist. And it's just another form of content suppression. And I have to point it out because it's actively happening right now. And especially when Q starts posting, that's when these algorithms kick into high gear to suppress this content. So that's what's happening with YouTube. It's a fun and wonderful experience. I love, just going through this dystopian Orwellian nightmare every day. But I do it for God and this country and for you guys and for all of us together. So that's my little spiel. I had to get that out in the beginning here. Of course, we're picking up where we left off. We left off at Q Post 3776. Picking up at Q Post 3777. And this is going to be big. We're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff here. So let's get right into it. The first post is, like you can see here, it's a YouTube link from Q. And this YouTube link is to this Dwight Eisenhower address to the nation where he warns us of a military-industrial complex being one of the most prolific threats to this nation that there ever was. If you think about it in the context of their ability to create the necessity for the industrial complex, the military-industrial complex in the first place, and then it becomes a self-feeding beast, a mechanism which can't be stopped, which seeks power at all costs, and seeks to overthrow democracy in exchange for domination and control under the guise of security. So let's watch what he has to say. I'm going to cut it together here, so check this out.
Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
So there you saw for yourself. Q's pointing us just to that little video. I had to cut it together there for you. But what you understand, though, is Eisenhower was telling us that we have to be aware of the unwarranted acquisition of power by the military-industrial complex at the cost of we, the American people, right? Because this industry, though it became necessary following the major global wars, is also a threat to our sovereignty and our security if we allow it to continue to grow and to continue to become so powerful that they think they can exert influence and sway over our democratically elected leaders, right? Who we, the American people, put our trust and faith into governing us. We're not putting our trust and faith into unelected bureaucrats who manufacture weapons systems that go to be used by, third world countries against one another in battles that neither benefit the American people nor do they benefit our country as a whole. So they only benefit they only help enrich this military-industrial complex that continues to grow. And it's something to be considered. I'm looking at this, and why is Q telling us this? I think it's because President Trump's under the same amount of pressure as pretty much anyone who is standing up against this complex, this system, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, the set of individuals who are clandestinely working to overthrow a duly elected president through a secret coup that depends on lying and leaking and espionage and illegal surveillance and illegally, obtaining warrants from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court system, and etc. From there, there's so much more. But without getting into every single little facet in detail, I think that's an interesting point Q wanted us to look at. So yeah, we'll go to the next one here. 3778 is talking about the Democrat Party leaders' Big Five. Nancy Pelosi, Democrat California, Speaker of the House. Adam Schiff, Democrat California, Chairman of Intelligence Committee. Jerry Nadler, Democrat in New York, chairman of the Judiciary. Chuck Schumer, senator, the Senate Minority Leader, and Dianne Feinstein, the ranking member of the Judicial Committee. Now, Q says, control over California and New York is vital to maintain democratic structural integrity. So think about that. First of all, those are two very large states, lots of very big population. You have New York, which is the financial capital of the world, basically. And then you have California, which by itself is the 5th largest standing economy in the world. So the Democrats have seized control in both of these areas. Now, as you guys know, California is just becoming worse and worse and worse every single day. And I should know because I've been doing a lot of research since I will be living there soon. And I've talked about that before in previous videos, but suffice it to say that we have a major problem here. And Q's pointing it out to us, giving us this Judicial Watch article talking about their efforts to get California to clean up their voter rolls, notifying them that up to 1.5 million inactive voters need to be cleared off the rolls because it's unconstitutional to leave them on there, especially when you have illegal immigrants who are being bussed in and using these inactive voting rolls to manipulate elections, both state, local, and federal. And this is absurd that it is allowed to happen. But luckily, we have organizations like Judicial Watch doing a lot of the legwork, enforcing these governments to come into compliance. Because ultimately, all they're trying to do is steal the vote. They're trying to steal power. And to me, I think either California is just 100% filled with, completely out there, far extreme leftist, socialist Democrats, or they've been just stealing the vote for so long and entrenched themselves into so many different local and state government positions that it has become almost impossible to vote these people out of office, right? Because they get in office, they create laws that bring in more voters who are likely, whether legal or illegal, more people who are likely to vote for Democrats, and they just fill their districts up, and at the detriment of the people living in those districts, because they don't care about the middle class. They want the super rich and the super poor, because in their minds, they're the super rich, and the more poor that you or I are, the more easily controlled we are. Just a thought. This other article that Q points us to is a loophole in New York where, you guessed it, illegals given driver's license could lead to voter fraud. Oh, you don't say if you give an illegal immigrant a driver's license that they may be able to walk into a polling station and get away with voting for whoever they want, most likely a Democrat, which is the same thing. Q's showing us the two rackets in these two major states that are used on a regular basis to undermine democracy and replace it with this authoritarian bureaucracy that is permanent, right? So Q says here, leverage control dictates how far you rise within the Democrat Party. Q. So Q's laying it out for us here. This is why Pelosi, Schiff, Nadler, Schumer, and Feinstein are some of the loudest voices against President Trump. This is why they've put these people in positions of power. Adam Schiff, I don't know what his connection is to Ed Buck, but there's a lot of rumors going around saying that there may be photos that were seized by the FBI. I think that we, the American people, have the right to know what those photos are of. Are they compromising? Could the Russians have taken those photos and used them to compromise Adam Schiff? I mean, it's almost exactly what they alleged about President Trump and his hotel room escapades in Russia. Whereas now, we have the same thing going against them. So I don't know. It's worth asking the question, where's the investigation into that? Oh no, there's not going to be an investigation because these people are criminals who are corrupt, who are doing everything they can to protect themselves. And that leads us exactly to the next post Q says here. It says, they are not attempting to remove POTUS from office. 2/3 of the Senate will not vote to convict. No laws were broken. They are attempting to protect themselves from prosecution and prevent the public from discovering the truth. Q. Well, that's the simplest way it's been put so far, and I think it's the closest to the truth, right? The truth is that they know they can't take out President Trump. They know that the impeachments, the articles of impeachment they sent to the Senate are bogus and that they don't outline any real crimes and that it should be thrown out prima facie on first glance because There is no substantive crime that is being alleged. It's only he obstructed Congress and he was not a good person. That's not going to cut it. And they're just doing this, though, as a way of protecting themselves, because the more time they can get the Senate and the House and all the rest of our government, the judicial system, the executive branch, to focus on playing defense, right, for this whole impeachment hoax scam that they've been running for, 3 years now, right? That's less time for the conservatives, the Republicans, whoever, to investigate them and their crimes, right? Like Burisma, like Uranium One, like the pay-for-play Biden son $1.5 billion deal with China, like Biden removing the prosecutor by withholding U.S. aid to Ukraine in what can only be described as a quid pro quo that they're alleging President Trump's involved in. So the Democrat playbook is project any crimes that you are guilty of on your opponent and then try to stall, delay, and blockade as long as you can. That's what it is. That's what we're seeing. And the American people are getting sick of it. I know I am. I'm just like all of you guys. I see a lot of people come on and say, Q hasn't done anything. There haven't been any arrests. Nothing's happening. Well, first of all, there have been a lot of arrests. And if you don't know about all the times that I've highlighted here on this channel of politicians being arrested, of, bureaucrats being arrested, corporate people being arrested for all types of crimes, ranging from fraud to embezzlement to crimes against children to the rest of it, voter fraud, etc. There have been plenty of arrests, but you have to understand, these people entrenched themselves over the last how many decades? Many decades. So it's not like you can just roll in and grab them all overnight. And a lot of these people, as we talked about here on the channel before, such as, I don't know, Mary McCord, just use her as an example, who gets, fired, forced, removed from from her position, I believe, at the DOJ. Well, what does she do? She joins a lawfare group that and becomes a head professor at some university there in DC. And next thing you know, she's going out and leading the charge for the Democrats in this impeachment hoax in the Senate again. So she goes from being an employee who is trying to subvert from inside, trying to provide subterfuge and, basically trying to sabotage President Trump from within, to now working as a lawfare, assassin, whatever you want to call him, a legal assassin. And literally, she just goes and gets a position where now she's working with Adam Schiff and their whole hoax in the House, now in the Senate. So you can't make this stuff up, but you can also point to this stuff as well. Here we have Q giving us this tweet from Donald Trump to look at. Well, here it is. It says, read the transcripts. So now this is another one of those basically zero delta tweets where within 1 minute of President Trump posting, or 1 minute prior, you have Q posting and then posting again. So this is what Q wanted us to look at. Obviously right here it shows right before President Trump posted his tweet, you have a 30-second delta between where 30 seconds previous to that tweet being posted, Q posts this last post that we just talked about. Another mathematical coincidence. It's not mathematically impossible. I guess it's just nobody wants to talk about it. It is impossible for all these coincidences to continue to happen. But with that being said, the Anon put together the graphic here, pointed out the small delay. Q says, thank you, Anon. Security server reroutes create delays. Obviously, that's why there's 30 seconds and not a 0. And then it's got an F in the kill box here, and it says Q. So I'm telling you right now, first of all, if you guys know what the F is in the chat, let me know, because I'm drawing a blank on that one. But this is really important to understand, and especially if it's saying read the transcript, go back and read the transcript. Here's the part that they want to impeach President Trump for. This is President Trump talking to President Zelensky of Ukraine. It says, I would like you to do us a favor. Us, not me personally, us as in the American people, a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike CrowdStrike is the one that's got the Ukrainian owner who covered up for the DNC, who had all the servers, who may have been a broker for this influence corruption peddling in our government. Imran Awan and the connection to the DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the cover up, Seth Rich, maybe he took that. Then it says, I guess you have one of your wealthy people. The server, they say, Ukraine has it. There are a lot of things that went on, the whole situation. So imagine this. I hate to keep interrupting, but imagine this. President Trump is saying, we know about CrowdStrike. We know about the illegal emails that the DNC had on their server, the 33,000 that disappeared, plus all the CrowdStrike cover-up that happened with the DNC afterward, that server. So you have Hillary's server, you have the DNC server, you have all the connections there, right? He's saying, I guess one of your wealthy people has this server, which contains very, important national security secrets on it, right? That it prove a lot of the corruption that we've been alleging for quite some time. But nothing to see here. It says there are a lot of things that went on. The whole situation, I think you're surrounding yourself with some of the same people. I would like to have the Attorney General call you or your people, and I would like you to get to the bottom of it. So what he's saying to him is, you know your country's corrupt. You basically ran on anti-corruption policy. We know that the people running the CrowdStrike and the people helping cover up for these Democrats are corrupt, and now you're surrounding yourself with the same people. You probably shouldn't do that. Okay, and then he says, as you saw yesterday, that whole nonsense ended with a very poor performance by a man named Robert Mueller, an incompetent performance, but they say a lot of it started with Ukraine. Whatever you can do, it's very important that you do it if that's possible. So think about this. What President Trump is saying there is Robert Mueller and the impeachment Russia hoax, or whatever it was, the special counsel hoax that they tried to pull on President Trump was completely debunked and fake, right? They lost that battle. Now he's saying to the president of Ukraine, look, the same people that were trying to set me up there with that whole nonsense are the same ones you're surrounding yourself with now, the same ones that we're trying to expose and to bring to justice. You need to help us out. So, yeah, of course, this is why the Democrats are panicking. Read the transcript. The transcript tells you why they are panicking. They're panicking because President Trump knows about their crimes and their cover-ups and how they did it and where they did it and who they used to do it. And he's trying to solicit help from a foreign government who is literally running on a platform of anti-corruption. So, I don't know. I just thought we'd read that for a second. Few other news stories here, Jim Jordan, John Ratcliffe, Mark Meadows, Debbie Lasko, Elise Stefanik, Lee Zeldin, and Doug Collins are on Trump's legal team now. They're having the impeachment hearing today in the Senate. Big whoop-de-doo. I mean, it's interesting to watch, to see the arguments that are going to come out that are going to basically vindicate the president and implicate the corrupt Democrats for their crime. They're crimes across the board, really, but mainly in my opinion, the dereliction of duty, the using their office to illegally push this coup against a duly elected president. All of that stuff's going to get exposed. So I just think it's interesting. These are some good people to have on your team. You have here we go. Adam Schiff coming out and going against the president in this impeachment trial. One of the lead basically managers for the Democrats from the House. And he's the one who was leaking information, trying to damage President Trump for quite some time. And President Trump's called this out. This guy's corrupt. He shouldn't be on the hearing. He's corrupt as it gets. Yet here he is, not in jail. I guess we're just gonna, let all these criminals keep give him as much rope as they want, right? And of course, here's your pot calling the kettle black here. Moment of the day where Hillary Clinton comes out and slams Bernie Sanders. I think she's getting ready for a run, so that'll be interesting. Of course, also you have James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, and their organization's incredible work. I actually know some people who have been the whistleblowers. Like I know Zach Voorhees personally, very good friend of mine. He's the guy who came out the Google whistleblower. I know Kerry Proch, the CNN whistleblower. I just met him a couple weeks ago, and we had a long conversation about Q. And it sounds like all of these guys are pretty much on board with seeing this and saying there's something wrong here, especially when their organization, James O'Keefe more specifically, not necessarily those whistleblowers who worked with him, but James O'Keefe's organization is coming out and showing their multiple staffers who are working on Bernie Sanders' campaign who literally want to send people to gulags, right? They want to send them to re-education camps. And when I say them, I mean you and me, right? And they want to guillotine the rich. What in the world is happening with these psychopaths? I have no idea. But I do know this, that if this is the kind of rhetoric that they're pushing on their end, there's no way they're going to win this election, because that's insanity, and that is that is completely antithetical to our government and our system as it stands right now. They want to destroy capitalism. They want to destroy this government. They want to burn it all down. They want to reestablish it. They basically want a Maoist-type revolution, just as we saw in China a little over 70 years ago when Mao took over and basically scorched earth policy everything, got rid of any political dissonance, burned their whole history down, and started over under the communist system, which is obviously just a strongman dictatorship, authoritarian regime. So that's what we're up against, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what we're up against. And of course, finally, I just want to give a shout out to the American Thinker. They did a great piece the other day. It was this piece right here, talking about an introduction to Q. And if you guys haven't read it yet, it's interesting. It's a good thing to give to people who are new to this. It kind of encapsulates a lot of it. A lot of people have written a lot of good stuff about it. It seems fairly close to being dead on to me. But now they're being hacked and targeted after posting that. So yeah, that's just what happens to people who talk about the truths that the powers that be don't want to get out. So, welcome to my world. Welcome to our world, I should say. That's going to be it for me. A few more things before we go. Come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you watch these videos, share them on your social media. Like I said, they're still manipulating the, algorithms and everything in the channel functionality to suppress this content, to keep you away from it. So you got to manually share it. And you leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything that we covered here today on this episode. Also, I'm over on Twitter at JustinFormedYou. It's a great way to connect. I got JustinFormedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. BitChute.com/JustinFormedTalk. Gonna start trying to get the videos up there as often as I can, because I had a system set up where it's supposed to auto post, but it doesn't do it, and it's really frustrating. But we'll get those posted over there. And also, if you haven't done it yet, be brave. Download the Brave browser. It's free. And if you use the link in the description of this video to download it, install it, and run it on your computer, you're going to be helping make a contribution to this channel. But what is it? It's just like Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, whatever internet browser you're using right now, but it's better. It blocks the ads. It makes the internet that much better to use. And I really encourage everyone to use the link in the description of this video, download it, install it, and run it on your computer. I guarantee you're not going to be disappointed. It is a great product. Also, you can help out financially a couple other ways. Patreon, patreon.com/JustinFormedTalk. It's a monthly donation. You guys have kept this channel alive in the face of all the algorithmic suppression and the obvious attempts for them to put this channel out of business and taking away the monetization, all that stuff. You guys have kept this channel going and alive through your contributions here. So it's a monthly donation. You guys set it and forget it. I know you're helping create content here. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything will be in the description below. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I have a special verse. It's a one verse. And I found this, and it just, when I read it, I thought to myself, this is something I want to share and talk about. So, it's out of the book of Proverbs, and it's Proverbs chapter 21, verse 15. And it's very simple and short, so here it is. It says, "Justice executed is a joy to the righteous, but a terror to those who practice iniquity." And that's it. That's a simple message today. I think it kind of speaks for itself. We have to remind ourselves that we, living a righteous life, seek justice because we understand the joy that it brings to everyone, right? But we understand that the reason why they come after us, the reason why they attack us, the reason why they want to shut us down is because they are terrified that their iniquities are going to be exposed by bringing this justice. And in my humble opinion, I put my life to God. This is why they'll never stop me, right? Unless, there's no way they can stop me from doing this, because in my life, I know that God has given me this path. God's given us this venue to come together and talk about these things. And as long as we stay strong in our faith to God and we live a righteous life and we do unto others as we would want unto ourselves, and we live as Christ-like as we can, then we will be living with joy in our hearts, and we will have righteousness inside of us and know that justice will be served. Whether the justice comes in the timeline that we set and demand here on earth or in God's time, it doesn't matter. But we know everything will come in God's time, so we have to put our faith in that. And like I was saying, even if justice doesn't get served here on this earth, in this world, in this life, I know, and I hope you all know out there, that the ultimate justice will come when we face our final judgment. So live righteously and do unto others and live a good life and put that out there into the world. That's my message to you for this episode, but that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you for watching. Come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications and select that all button if you want to get all the notifications, which why wouldn't you if you hit the notification bell? But either way, also you hit this, if you guys like this content and want to see me make more, hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it, whatever. Hit the like button. And that's going to go ahead and do it for me. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.